Mic check. Mic check. Okay. Trying out a live stream. I don't even know if anybody's going to pop on here or not, but just thought I would take a look at the markets in real time. Haven't really been able to look at the markets basically all day, except for this morning. I did have on Bitcoin earlier. My Bitcoin chart is crazy right now. But I did have, a little alert bar that was placed on my Bitcoin chart because if I turn this on, I had the 200-day moving average on this chart, and I had this kind of what was resistance at 45,240, and I was looking to see what would happen with price, and I just turned it off a little bit ago because it turns out that that average is going to hold. If I go to a daily chart, we're just clearly above it, but the 8 hours showing you our little retest. We came down basically and had a perfect retest of it on the 8 hour. It looks like if we look at a 3-minute chart, you can see here we had this is kind of where we came down to retest, and then we've come up since then. So even just looking at, never look at the 3-minute, it's just for if I want to see, when we have huge moves up, like forget where it was, I'm trying to remember where it was, way back here somewhere. We just had like this huge run up here and here. Sometimes I like to look and see like at what time of the day that move happened. So that's fun. But yeah, you can, even on the 3-minute chart, you can see I'm just stuck in this range, and even when we popped above it, came back in, popped above it, sold down below it, came back up. This is the range that we're playing in intraday. So there's that. Let me go back to my 8-hour chart. So what I thought I would do is when I have the chance, I thought what I'd try to do is go over in real time some of the things that I'm watching on the charts, because I find I don't always do a good job of making videos throughout the week. Each day kind of is its own thing. So anyway, by the way, this is Markets for Millennials, and so welcome if you're here, and if you've never seen this channel before, I recommend that you go check out some of the videos on the channel. Done a lot of GBTC videos. I've done weekly updates. Anyway, welcome if you're new to the channel. Welcome if you're not. Welcome back to my channel. So looking at the S&P right here, I've had to adjust these trend lines a little bit. There's a lot of people who have been informing some of my trend lines. I've adjusted them here and there. S&P is just in a clear uptrend. I don't know. This looks like, it's really interesting. Looks like we've got, this break of the overhead resistance. The end of last week broke this overhead resistance, this tiny little range, and have retested it and come up. But we haven't. The thing is, we haven't, in these last couple sessions, haven't made a new high there. So I'm watching to see if we fall back into the range, or if this was just a brief fake out before coming back down. Not really sure. Not really sure what to make of that. But I've been saying for a long time, like, I don't know. I'm not chasing equities. It seems pretty clear that the best place right now to buy equities is anytime we come in contact with this trend line, and I think it's lining up pretty well with the 50-day moving average. Amazing how trend lines work like that. So yeah, I'm not chasing. I think if you're gonna buy, it's hard to know because equities. I mean, how long has it been since equities have seemed overpriced? I mean, I don't know. Were they overpriced here or here or here or here or anywhere in between? You almost just have to like buy or close your eyes and buy. I've heard that statement before. So I think that's, if you're going to buy at all on the indexes, I think that it's a pretty good bet that when we make contact on this trend line, or at the 50-day, if you want to use that instead, it's pretty clear that that's where we're that's a good place to buy, at least for now. I mean, because who knows how long equities are going to run up. Go ahead and hit that like button if you are in here. I know not a lot of people watching usually, but it helps out the channel. The NASDAQ, I made a comment in a previous video that I'm kind of following this channel, and that lately it hasn't been respecting the bottom end of this channel, but it has been respecting this ascending trend line. And yeah, I don't know. Last week I said that I could totally see a situation where this trend line, or if it busts through, you know, if we bust through, maybe we retest to the upside and then come down to this kind of support level at about 14,000, just a little above 14,000. That would be my guess, because that's usually, I mean, it's kind of like a rising wedge pattern. There's some people who have been saying, I've seen them talking about this is its own, like, you know, its own channel, but then it's already broken out of that channel. And if you were to, I mean, just watch, I'll show you. If that is your trend line, you know, I don't know, where would it be there? Right here? I don't know. Whatever the case may be, wherever you would put it, it's pretty clear that this was a breakdown and a retest of that, and it hasn't broken back above it yet. So I don't buy that, although I think I do see some symmetry there, but it's such a tight range. But I don't know. Something I've been noticing for some time is, maybe not so much on the NASDAQ as on the S&P. If I go back to it, it seems to me like the range it's being squeezed. Oops, let me turn this off. You can kind of see it over a long period of time. It's like a very long rising wedge pattern. If you want to look at it that way, I think, you know, even going back here to this little peak in September, it fits. So I don't know, like, what do you make of that? It's hard to really, you know, it's hard to know what to make of that. That seems like a perfect wedge to me. Maybe I'll just leave that there and watch that, see what happens on the upside. We haven't hit it in a little while, so that's something. We'll be watching that. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like so many people have now gone out of a lot of the cyclicals and piled into the NASDAQ, and it always worries me. Like, if you pull back, it always worries me when you see this kind of this rise sloping a little bit higher, and then when it comes down, like if this was our trade range right here, this sort of parallel channel, if that's our range and we didn't come back down and retest the bottom of the range, but then just proceeded right back up after a really small pullback, like that, I don't know, that worries me. I think that's part of the reason why, you know, why I think it's going to come back down. So just my opinion. My opinion doesn't really, I mean, what is that? If we actually came down and tested the range, it's, you know, 8%, 7%, depending on how far you go. If we just come down to the support here, it's it's just under 6%. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. The Dow. Yeah, the Dow. Gosh, Dow popped above. If we go to a daily chart, Dow popped above, you know, and then it has since, like today, well, I guess the new candle, because this is the futures, the new candle has started. But after popping above, this wasn't really decisive for me. I think I even talked about this. This was a situation where I thought, you know, I mean, I raised the resistance was here at the top of this wick right here, May 10th. I raised it though because of this candle, this daily green candle right here. But it looks like if I put it back down, it's almost a perfect retest on the daily at least. It's a little bit low. We'll just leave it there. But it's a little interesting. I wondered what would happen coming into today's session, where, would we resume up? Would we fall back down? Kind of see on the Dow the same kind of price action as on the S&P. I don't quite see the same, it's not coming up all the same as like the NASDAQ. So like if you compare the Dow and the S&P, like the S&P is somewhat flat. The NASDAQ had been kind of more like almost like a ramp. And then the Dow is actually doing the opposite. It's kind of curving over, almost rolling over. And so I think that's why, like, in terms of price action, I was kind of paying attention to see, what was going to happen here today, just to see if we'd get a continuation of this move from Friday. But I don't know. Obviously, we sold down. The Russell. I keep talking about this. I don't know. I feel like I'm not seeing this talked about a lot out there. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like we've been in this sideways range in the Russell for, like, we first kind of like, so we were bouncing up into it. It was resistance. We got into it here in February, beginning of February. Like, how long are we going to stay sideways here? And if you use this range, put this support back, when did we pop in here? Beginning of January? So you're telling me for like the first 7 months of this year, we've just been in this range? It's not, and I've been like, let me just kind of zoom out here. I've been looking at this. I've not changed these trend lines. I think the first trend line that I used is actually not there anymore. I think I cloned this trend line. Let me darken it up because I want to try to put it back. I think the first place I put this trend line was right there. I think I did it here back in like July. And then I started cloning it back in September. So anyway, I haven't changed those lines on my other charts, like my I think my S&P and my NASDAQ chart. I changed because obviously the trend is now different. It's been playing with this for a while, just down, up, down, up, down, up. So I'll be interested to see what happens as we move forward. It's like, I just think it's interesting. Again, if you think about it, just since February, look at all the other indexes. Going back to February, all the indexes are higher. NASDAQ higher, S&P higher, Dow higher. The Russell is not. And the Russell is a much better, in my opinion, is a much better reflection of the actual economy. And so, and granted, since the COVID crash, it's up, right? Asset inflation. So I feel like in terms of, what is the overall economy doing? I don't know. I feel like the Russell kind of shows you that at least since 2021 started, the economy hasn't really been, I don't know, maybe it's not really back. Maybe the rises, like in the Russell, have just purely been due to asset inflation, not due to actual economic strengthening, which is interesting because they would have you believe, I don't know, it feels like they want you to believe that the economy has been roaring back. I don't know. I don't see it. DXY, kind of a general overview here. DXY is still keeping kind of an uptrend. I'm looking, I think I have a line right here actually. I'm looking for this resistance line to get broken. I know a lot of other people are looking there. A better line to break to the upside would be, what is this, 94.60? That's the best line to break. That's what I would be looking for to break really. But until like this breaks this level, the March 30th level at 93.30, I don't know. It's just kind of bouncing around in here. Let's see if we could put some trend lines in here. A little bit of an angle there. Let's see what we can do here. If you go by this, then we've broken above it. Maybe our line needs to be actually here. something like that. And until it breaks, you know, then, you know, I don't know. Looks like it was, looks like it works as far as the, you know, symmetry. You could kind of see it here. Let me clone. Whoa, I don't know what's going on there. Clone, go like that. So you can kind of see, if you follow the mouse, you can see resistance over here, support, resistance, resistance. Wasn't even a factor, like a little bit of resistance there, resistance, support, and support, you know. So it works. I think that trend line works. The symmetry works. So I'm going to get rid of it though. I don't really need that trend line. So to me, like, you know, maybe break above that as well, to kind of leave that a little bit light. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Right now, the near-term trend is up. The long-term trend is down. Doesn't really take a rocket scientist to figure that out, though. So let's take a look at yields. Yields. Okay, so yeah, so we did come right up into, right up above, let me say. We did pop above our kind of the lowest band of. You know, so I had. Let me just kind of show you the progression here. So I originally put in this bull flag. I think I put it. When did I put it? I think I did it here in May. Made this bull flag, and then as we broke below it, I cloned to see if it would work, if the symmetry works, and it looks like it did. Right, so some symmetry there, and then the same symmetry is showing itself here as well. Let me show you where I saw that. I took this line and I put it right here. If you look, I'll circle it. The low of this closing, this red bar, this red candle on the daily, and it turns out that by doing that, we get a touch on this wick and on this wick, and obviously we wick through a couple of times. So again, symmetry, market symmetry. So yeah, let's see, it's 3:54 Pacific time where I'm at. So I think I'm going to try to do 30-minute lives or so maybe every day. Maybe I've thought about trying to look at something different each day. So like maybe on Mondays I'll just do overall like equities, DXY, yields. Oh, I saw this earlier. What in the world? You know? Look at that. Now my gold chart, like I mean, look at the mess that this gold chart is. I don't know if you can even, if you're watching, if you can even see what's in the background. I've got lines going down, I've got lines going up, right? This is crazy. Like what the heck? 3-minute chart, let me find it. There it is. What in the world happened? I don't know, does anybody know like what happened between, what is this, yesterday, you know, what is that right after? Let's see, it's 15:48. Gosh, that's like less than an hour after after futures opened, just a massive tank job. That's insane. I can't even, like, what is that drop? 4%? Crazy. 4% in 12 minutes. That's got to be a glitch. I don't know. Is that a glitch? I don't know. Somebody tell me, is that a glitch? See if it's a glitch. But what's crazy is, so I don't know. I've got a little bit of time. I don't have to end the stream quite yet. Let me go to my daily chart. This will be a little bit easier to see. I can have the candles a little bit bigger. So what's crazy about this is as we were coming down, so I've done various trend lines. I think my original trend lines were right here, right? And it wasn't the one that I just darkened, that's right here. That wasn't the original. I think it was actually this one on the downside. I think I used that one. Yeah, there you go. So this was my trend line on the way down. I just cloned it a kajillion times. And I came up with this like theory. I don't know. I came up with this theory if I go to my like 3-day chart. I was like, why does that look like a cup and handle? But nobody says that because it's too long term. Like people are like, no, cup and handles don't last for 10 years. And yet I'm like, that looks like a cup to me and kind of looks like there's a handle. So, but of course I'm not the expert. So anyway, I was actually thinking like, okay, what to the downside? What am I looking at to the downside? I'm actually gonna try to get rid of these lines again so that I can actually see what I'm doing, so that you can actually see what I'm doing here. Let me go. I want to go back to like one of my original thoughts that I had when I was like working on my gold chart. And let's see, we'll go to my daily. So I looked at this and I was like, okay, like where is the horizontal support or the horizontal resistance here? Oh, I gotta go back to my 3-day, I guess. I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, like, well, clearly we've got resistance. I'm sorry, clearly we've got support here. Clearly we've got support here. So I've got all these lines, right? Clearly we've got support here. Clearly we've got support here. Right? I mean, you guys can see that, right? It's pretty clear. So, so I was looking at that and I'm like, okay, well, what to the downside? What are we looking at potentially to the downside? And I was like, okay, well, if this is a cup and handle, so what is that? This move, right? If we did that, what's the most probable outcome? And I was thinking, okay, could you do, actually, let me do a fib. Maybe I can get the fib level here. Maybe that'll be easier. So look at that, a 50 retracement. So in my view, I'm like, okay, cup and handle, it's not going to retrace more than 50%. That was kind of the way that I looked at it originally. So then basically anything below that support, I was like, all right, I don't need to look at that. I don't need to look at that either. So then I was basically left with like these 3 lines, and so let me go to my daily so that this is easier. So I was basically left with like these 3 lines, and I'm like, okay, 1547, don't know if it'll go that low. That would be the deepest I could see it going. 1614, maybe, that's kind of the mid-range. 1675, that seems more likely. And so what I ended up doing, it was really crazy. What I ended up doing was I put a box like right here, because like top band being at 1675, bottom of the band being at about 1550, and I did this all. I did this all like right when price was like right around here, and I'm like, we'll see what happens, because I was kind of hoping that like maybe it would just continue to go down while Bitcoin would go up in its bull market, and then I could go out of Bitcoin into gold once the peak was reached. But I don't know, I just kind of, this is like a shot in the dark. And then we came and literally bumped the top of that support, bounced, bumped it again, and then took off. And I was like, gosh dang it, because I like seriously, I was like looking around at where to buy. I'm like, okay, if gold gets right here, I'm just gonna buy. There's no way. Like, there's no way I'm gonna, it's not gonna go any lower than that. So but we bounced to that range, and then what's crazy is, look at here, we bounced, if this is correct, then we bounced all the way down here again. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's crazy, So I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna have to go look into the news, look and see. And when I say news, obviously there's going to be a narrative, so I'm not looking for the narrative. I want to look for the fundamentals, and I want to see what actually happened. So it's pretty crazy that happened. But also, this kind of reminds me of the huge sell down in Bitcoin. Like, look at the retrace, right? So it sold down, but then it came right back up over 3% from its, like in total, like in actual price. So I don't know, like, what's going on? I don't really know. So let's take a look at, wait, I don't know if I need to change this into resistance now. Darken this up. So I guess then what I want to know the rest of this week is what's going to happen with gold. That's down below my trend line here, which that actually goes back a ways, like way back here. Sorry about that. Way back here. So let me darken this trend line. It's a cloned trend line of the one I just got rid of. So we That was support here back in the end of March. We wicked below it, but we've closed above it, so that's good. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here. So I think what I'm going to do is let's turn my magnet on. I think I'm going to go right here. I'm going to do that. I'm going to look for price to get above here first. Let's darken this up so that it's not as visible. Yeah, I think at the very least, there's a couple of things. We got to stay above this trend line, right? Turn the magnet off again. Got to stay above here. Got to get back above this resistance, which is at 1746. Got to get above this descending trend line. So gold's got a ton of work to do. And this is one of those things, again, it just makes you wonder if the backdrop is supposed to be inflation, you know, if all the money printing and stuff is supposed to be inflationary, and it has been, obviously, assets have gone up. And the question is, what's the deal with gold? And I'm assuming maybe it's because of yields, but to me, it's not. They don't exactly correlate. I mean, like, start from March, right? Oh, not Bitcoin. Sorry. Wait, look at that. In March, yields start coming down. Okay, yeah. So there's a little bit of correlation, I suppose. I don't know. I just feel like, you know, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, to me, there's conflicting signals, and that has me worried. So that's why, like, I'm not allocating any further to gold, and I'm definitely staying away from the ETFs and stuff. Silver just got rocked. Oops, that's not what I'm trying to do. I said this, I've been saying this in my videos, you know, like, to me, if silver, oh wow, it's even below that level. Yep, we closed below that level as well. I've even been saying, you know, in my videos that to me, with the macro backdrop where it is, like gold, I mean, silver should be outperforming gold. If it's going to be a precious metals bull market, then silver needs to be outperforming. Let me find my gold to silver ratio. But look at that. Like, it's been a long time since silver has really outperformed. We haven't made a lower low. Like, look, end of January, end of February, just higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. So I don't know. It's interesting to me. There's too many conflicting signals. I just don't get it. You would think, like, inflationary environment, equities, all-time highs, Russell, sideways. You would think inflationary, gold to like a million, not really a million, but you would think gold going up. Nope, not going up. Yields, you would think, I mean, like, look, yields are on the way back up. And, I mean, like, I don't really get it. What's going on? Very interesting. Oil's been selling down. I haven't really talked about oil. Like, you can see my chart. I haven't really updated my chart in a long time. Turn some of these things to green. I think I got another one here. Where am I at on my time here? A little over 30 minutes, so a little bit beyond the time that I planned on going. But maybe I'll just stop on WTI, just take a look here. So if you look, let me go to my weekly chart. I've got these channels, this long-term channel, which, you know, it's a massive downtrend. We broke that and we retested it, and we're resuming off. But now we've made a lower high, right? You guys can see that clearly. It's a high and it's a lower high, and you know, not a lower low though. So maybe what's going on here is we just have consolidation. Maybe it's just run too far. So let's do that. All right, so we're looking for, you know, oil to get back above here, WTI oil. I feel like, you know, is this because of the Delta variant, or is it something else? Has oil just been running too hot? But I think what's interesting, let me find my commodities here. What's really interesting is, like, you know, as oil was making the run, like XLE, which is the energy ETF, it's just been sideways for, you know, since the end of February. So, yeah, in the markets overall, I just see tons of, I don't know. It seems to me to be tons of conflicting signals. Let me go to Bitcoin now. Bitcoin, woohoo, Bitcoin. I think people are so funny. We had this. Where were we? Okay, so we had this run up. Let me put this this little. That was the golden ratio, 1618. Shout out, you're the bull. Came up, just a huge run up. You know, people are like. Then we had this candle where we made the higher high, but then closed with a lower low than this candle next to it on the 8 hour. People were like, oh, and then the next 8 hour candle was we made a lower low, like wick low. People are like, oh, just a dead cat bounce. Then of course we bounced and then made a higher high, and then we had this kind of, you know, little sell down here, and people are like, oh, this whole move was a dead cat bounce, and everyone's like, we're gonna go down, we're gonna break through 30,000, we're gonna go down to 20,000 or lower. You know, it's interesting, like, because people got so burned on this move down because people were taking all this leverage and they're like, there's no way it's going to have a 50% pullback. You know, they like, it's like they didn't even pay attention, you know, to previous, like everyone was looking so much at 2017 bull run, and everybody forgot about, you know, this. You know, it's crazy. Yeah. All right. So what are we looking at here? Let me go to daily. Yeah, so we had this run up, we retraced. I talked about this in my video. If you look, this is, you know, almost a 40% retrace of this move, which is crazy, right? But like, you can't have that kind of a move up without a retrace, right? So giving back 30% of that is no problem, or 40%. So yeah, so we're fine. It's fine. We popped above the 200-day moving average. I don't remember if I talked about this at the beginning or not. Popped above the 200-day moving average. Popped above our support here that I had, or the resistance I had at 45,240. I mean, we're fine. I mean, how long until we you know, till we get to new all-time highs? We've got people thinking like maybe even the end of August. I would say if we can do it by the end of August, between, you know, August 31st and mid-September, like, that's golden. Oh, where's all my like drawings? Oh, here we go. So most important trend line in crypto, pretty interesting, right? You clone it, and we made a perfect retest off that, which, you know, if you also take this, let me darken this one up too. I put some trend lines here. This is why my Bitcoin chart's an absolute mess, right? If you take that trend line and you clone it, like, you get some gnarly market symmetry here. Look at that. Look at that. Right? So the symmetry is fantastic. So we're actually kind of at, you know, if you want to use these closing, like, look at that. I know I'm streaming longer than I said, but look at that. Perfect touches. And then let's auto this thing back. And we're coming right into that. Like, we perfectly wicked into it. I mean, what you can't do better than that, right? So, market symmetry. Market symmetry. What am I looking at though? I'm looking, I talked about this previously, like we cleared this resistance at 45. Well, I still don't remember what this is, 45,240. I was looking at getting to one of these two resistances and then getting a pullback. I talked about like this in previous videos. When you get these moves, like, you got to be prepared for the pullback. So we could come all the way up here and then come down and retest this support before moving back up, and that would be par for the course. I mean, like, really, think about that. If we come all the way up here, retest there, come all the way up here, retest there. If we stayed in this channel, like, you know, we could totally do that. It's not out of the question at all. Again, if you're hodling, it's not even a problem. So I'm not even worried about it. Okay, well, so yeah, I think maybe I'll try to stream a little every day. maybe tomorrow, instead of looking at all of the indexes and stuff, I'll maybe look at sectors, see what's going on. All right, have a great day. Don't forget to smash the like button.